So I have been a fan of Brenda Hillman ever since I saw her read in Seattle in February in a church, and it was kind of a mystical experience. She totally mesmerized me with her soft, high-pitched voice, and there was like a glow happening, and the words "Be still and know that I am God" behind her. I'm going to read from a book called Cascadia, if you guys are not familiar with her work, she's a local poet, and she kind of falls into the eco-poetic discourse. So this poem, this was written in 2001, and this poem's about El Nino, and it's called El Nino Organon, which also reminds me of Kate Bush, which I love. Using cosmic magic and destruction equally, the ocean has decided to rearrange its syntax so the jet stream shifts north. Its waves warm, its sentences swell until life, one of the yeses between swirls, roundly in the form of beach parties with center-colored balloons full of unused gases from nearby stars that are suddenly short of heat, moves to dreamishness, though movement was actually its second choice. Movement is infinity, which failed. There appeared a small room under the sea. Heat they dumped too much of lives in there, with the doomed forms singing toy sold separately. He starts these early storms off San Diego, pushes absorbing action. They named him boy and make him metaphorical, but he thinks he's a mistake. Can you move sentences this way? A horizon is a type of sentence unmaking syntax, denying its maker in preference for a sea cave of breathing from, while on shore, reversible winds drive sanderlings to make wide use of their wavelet, the latest theory of narrow not having been tried. There appeared a small room under the sea, and in it dwelt impossibility, Rimbaud and the doomed teachers all, considering the clash of where we have dumped heat. Creation can't fail, though the meaning sea dies. Kelp ends disappear into earliest beginnings. Sentences occluded by their owners are devoured. A goal is mistaken for a frisbee, meaning years ago. We could have stopped driving, but we didn't. Punctuation like beach flies as you walk undyingly past the perfumed woman and madras-shirted man who, not knowing dioxin garbage made the Nino's fever worse, hold tight, palm tree-ish seaweed up to admire. Examples are beautiful anyway. They could have turned off air conditioning as they climbed the hills. We could have been less comfortable in hotels. Sentences dip down to the idea as wiggle rock granite diving through other granite near Pacifica borrows infinity layers, driving as we drove, not meaning to. Distance is in such an uproar. The boy wants his ocean to stop melting, wants the baby steelhead-looking surfers peeling off their wetsuits in the parking lot at Montara to look up. So much for the problem of not being unique. Weather was unique, moving to a sameness. The boy plays insane music in its head. We welcomed weather. We wanted each sentence to have toothy margins, more different even than a snake. Small sizes of light chime off surfaces to give great value to stars. Storms unravel how we wrecked it. Color stopped by looking blue, purple. Didn't you feel everything, finally? Weather taught you to write funny. When it stops being wrecked, we'll write normally. And these are some really new poems that I wrote on the road driving across the country, mixed with some new-ish poems. They have something to tell us, those white torsos of trees grafted onto some otherly dark and deeply rooted stumps, row after monstrous row of fruit machines, rewired. This humanity's idea of a forest, perceived only in blurred passing on the veiny interstate and in the piles of fruit at the market. Something ripe is produced here. The never-ending whir of machinery. the organ machine, driving and being driven by the energy machine, driving and being driven by the chlorophyll machine, driving and being driven by the celestial machines of star and of rainbow, all being driven by each other, finely tuned and whirring in togetherness and desire and production, and all connected to a body. Judge Schraber has sunbeams in his axe, the philosopher says, a solar anus. What else to call him but broken, spliced to the souls of fleeting improvised men? What else to do but fight nature against the veins that carry us to the heart of us, the mechanics of what is a curious tendency to destroy the meaningful, to believe in the rigid, invisible, electric, interstellar ether. We are driving across this great country, and we're taking our house with us, the house we call the lucid dreamer. What bright visions come to us in dreaming amidst shadows of the home country, how a simple spirit shedding may bring them out of us, sound our vowels out. Faces of the pueblo encrusted with jewels, our house on wheels flailing in a windstorm, a little upside-down barn, the golden arrow, the silver bow, the extraterrestrial highway, the sulfuric bath, rose quartz, the flash flood, the dust devil, the dark gutted city, silent branching desert lightning, bear tracks in a dry riverbed, this charred landscape, a canoe untethered, drifting, windmill spires flashing into our darkened faces. The good stories are waking up inside our mouths. We are shoveling them in, piling them in, leaving the echoes to flicker freely. Is it too late to see beyond the walls of this overgrown mind and its lighthouse shining into the past? Naked, burning, I contemplate the skyscraper, its weak majesty, and I, an insect, huddling in the fluorescence of my own imagined ceiling. The moths appear suddenly in the cabin, flitting around our lit-up faces, landing in our lit-up hair, and keep appearing as if through some portal, some magic in the woodwork setting them loose from the net of dreams. A dust storm blankets Texas homes, 1935. If not for sun, moon, and telescope, plow would invert the landscape, kicking up clouds of fervent, swirling worlds. Cosmic dust is discovered between the stars, interstellar, tailing the body of the comet, diffusing sunlight into a triangular glow, in orbit, appearing as a column brighter at the horizon, tilted at the angle of the ecliptic. Here's to hoping. If not for this zodiacal light, this false dawn, best observed on moonless night with mirror or radio or infrared, we might have been our own hopeful monsters. We might have known what it is to illume and be illumined. You are the dust that I am pushing out, sweeping out. Looking closer, domestic dust turns out to be a microcosm of everything we have encountered that may or may not contain burnt meteorite. Mites settle back into their warm corners. You settle back into me. The cutaneous rabbit illusion, how we expect an experience and the brain encodes it into being. How in 2 taps of the skin, the brain makes 3. How dust is filling in the gaps. How clouds are busted and then harvested thanks to cosmic orgone engineering. How in sneezing one is blessed. How the senses are leaping. All the time, nothing much happens. She takes the kids out. It hurts to keep her eyes open. The things that were going to happen were pictures wrapped up, dirty faces killed in battle. We sat on the warm hood and watched the clouded violence we cannot explain, clouds, striking themselves, striking with electric joy the land of glorified Indian killers, until the rising moon turned pink, faced with the sinking sun. The sky stayed behind, half closed. There was an uneasiness, and against the pale skin of a knife, logic shone black. There was no sign of letting up. There was bread on the table of collective memory to symbolize the dirty sidewalk, its alphabetic universe, joining at right angles. They were surprised to hear him speak, the big, lonesome person. We all have our reasons to harvest the wind, but she was in a hurry and with her brain cleared her throat. He was an old man, the quietness grew. Adrift, we are set adrift among the birches. Among the birches, spirits glow white, dark morning. The question of how they got here, how they got there, the skeletons in plastic bags of loose bones and fur he gathered up. He gathered up the familiar smell, the word freedom stank and a smoke blackened ring of sticky black dirt rang out, bells of smoke, the world's heaviest bell ringing as it burned. Ships set sail in 9 new directions. In 9 new directions, your dream journey in kaleidoscopic vision, setting sail. Approaching 3 gorges of brightness, you approach each gorge of brightness with moon eyes and moon palms lifted. The singing moan comes from underneath your surface, turning the pages of noise and light, singing another shade of noise and light. And despite it all, the dream of open water. You are illiterate to its watery codes of tide and depth and current, but there is the dream and the shape its sound makes above the surface and below, where the sounds are freed from meaning, carried to open water. Free and open in the western desert, the back roads of dirty America, shooting up TVs and leaving their beer cans to rest. The rattlesnake is not bothered even when nudged with a stick. The sheddings of shotgun shells become him. Where are we now? I asked, dragging left arm along the wall's imperceptible curve. Here, you said, pointing, the peephole. What did it mean? Seeing stars. Phosphine flickered like film, like rubbing closed eyes. I wanted to understand you, your theory of mind, the true vertebrate brain, the true blue of someone else's. I wanted to see it with my own. But skin, too, is elusive. Only in light sleep, the pacemaker, setting the rhythm, changes the tune. Theta is the one behind the curtain, twisting the dials, pulling the stops. One suddenly notices the fly on the television, what it is to hear color, how in sneezing one might. The visual field is darkening, day, white noise against it. The static grid stretches to dream you, ultraviolet. Finally, I see the air in technicolor, the edges of sleep, the threshold of consciousness, what it means to play in the snow, and who is watching. Thanks.